one hand is raised up here.
Subversive.
Actually, that is one more than I expected, I have to be honest.
Really?
Fuck no. Sorry. We are uncensored, but oh my God, the idea there's any comparison between Diana, who was the biggest star in the world.
The chaos started exactly the way every Meghan-related storm starts. Quiet, sneaky, just a little whisper floating around online. But within minutes, that tiny spark turned into a digital wildfire. One rumor became 10, timelines flooded, and suddenly the whole internet was spinning again. But this time, this wasn't normal drama. This one hit like an earthquake because Piers Morgan didn't just talk. He dropped a never-before-seen interview, a hidden recording no one knew existed, never aired, never leaked, never even hinted at. And the second it surfaced, the entire narrative flipped on its head.
When their behavior became obnoxious, self-serving, and rankly hypocritical.
And trust me, this lost footage doesn't just throw shade at Meghan Markle, it scorches the entire forest. The moment that clip hit the timeline, Meghan reportedly snapped. One insider said she didn't just lose it, she detonated. You could literally feel the shockwaves rippling through Hollywood circles and the royal watcher community. So let's rewind for a second. How did everything spiral into this level of madness? It all kicked off when Piers casually teased on X that he was digging through his personal archives and had found some uncleared palace interviews. Everyone shrugged it off. Just another day, another royal rumor. Maybe a cute unseen moment or some harmless chit-chat. But nope, what he dropped was a weapon. The footage looked ancient, grainy, with a timestamp that basically shouted, "This is real." Piers is sitting across from a guest whose face was blurred and voice distorted. At first, it seemed like a random insider, until the voice sharpened. And then came the line, the one that made Meghan's entire team slam into full-blown crisis mode.
Decision taken by the palace to stop Archie being a prince based on his potential skin color.
And just like that, everything blew wide open. 6 words. 6 tiny words, and the whole internet lost its mind. The reaction was instant. Royal sleuths, gossip channels, Reddit detectives, TikTok analysts, everybody jumped in like they'd been waiting years for this moment. Theories were flying around so fast you could barely keep up. Who was the voice? A palace insider? A burned-out staffer? Someone who watched Meghan climb the ladder up close? Then Piers dropped the real nuclear line. This was part of an interview we were never allowed to air. That flipped the entire situation from interesting leak to full-scale media earthquake. Within minutes, hashtags were trending, timelines were melting, and conspiracy threads were multiplying like wildfire. TikTokers were matching waveforms like they were CIA audio techs. Reddit was zooming in on every pixel of the timestamp. YouTubers were breaking down every breath in the clip, replaying it in slow motion, claiming they recognized the cadence. It wasn't just gossip anymore. It became a global guessing game, and Meghan was at the center of a storm she definitely didn't see coming.
Or the monarchy, given that 2 of our most famous young royals have waged a 3-year war on the institution.
And listen, these were not the names Meghan wanted trending before lunchtime. But by afternoon, the memes had taken over. By evening, reaction videos were pulling in millions. And by nightfall, the story had jumped from gossip TikTok to full-blown mainstream headlines. Boom, viral, unstoppable. But while the internet was having the time of its life, insiders say Meghan's world was melting down behind the scenes. This wasn't irritation. This wasn't a bad day. This was a volcanic eruption. Sources described her pacing, shouting, demanding explanations, pure crisis mode. And honestly, you can see why. That clip didn't just embarrass her, it blew apart the polished image she spent years constructing. The whole humble royal with pure intention storyline? Gone. Vaporized in 6 words. That tiny audio bomb turned her carefully crafted fairy tale into a PR disaster, and Meghan knew it instantly. And here's where things get even more suspicious. According to insiders, the moment she saw the footage, she snapped into emergency lockdown mode. Phones out, team summoned, damage control machine activated. The kind of reaction that makes you wonder, why that clip? Why that sentence? And why did it hit her so hard? Because whatever was said in that unseen interview, it clearly wasn't supposed to see daylight.
That she does, they basically lambast the whole thing.
PR, legal, crisis control, communications, everyone got pulled into the war room. Phones lit up like a switchboard, screens flashing, people talking over each other as if they were coordinating an emergency evacuation. According to insiders, Meghan snapped, "Shut this down, shut him down." But here's the problem. Piers Morgan doesn't shut down. Drama isn't a threat to him, it's fuel. And the moment Meghan's flinched, he went in harder. That same evening, he dropped one single line that torched the internet. There's much more where that came from. That was it. Just 8 words, instant meltdown. Meghan's camp launched into DEFCON 1. Lawyers started blasting letters in every direction. Advisors were speed-dialing major networks. PR handlers were spinning cover stories like their entire careers depended on it. And the palace? Silent. Not a whisper. Which almost made it worse, because behind those stone walls, they were absolutely watching, quietly, carefully, maybe even with popcorn. The monarchy doesn't forget, doesn't forgive, and they never miss an opportunity to let someone bury themselves, especially when that person is already holding the shovel. Meanwhile, journalists went feral. Everyone wanted to know who the mystery voice was. A palace staffer Meghan clashed with? A former friend? Someone from Suits? An ex-publicist? Then came the theory that reportedly sent Meghan's stress levels through the roof. The voice belonged to someone she cut off right after meeting Harry. A person who'd seen everything. Those early transition months, the ambition, the adjustments, the strategy. Someone who knew the blueprint before it became public. And if that's true, this whole saga just got a lot messier. As speculation spiraled, Piers kept dropping hints. More audio, more unseen context, more stories he claimed were buried by palace orders. Each new post felt like a spark tossed into a room already soaked in gasoline. The scandal wasn't that someone called Meghan ambitious. Everyone already knew that. The bombshell was that a credible insider said it on tape. The clip was buried, and now it had finally resurfaced. That changed everything. Her lawyers reportedly launched into overdrive, digging through old NDAs and contracts to figure out who approved what and whether they could force Piers to take it down. But the internet? That's the final boss. Once something leaks, it's everywhere. Screenshots, re-uploads, mirrors. Unstoppable. And Meghan knew she'd lost control of the narrative again. People weren't arguing about whether the claim was true. They were asking something darker. If it was nothing, why was it buried? Who protected her? And who finally broke ranks? Then came the question that cut deepest. Did Meghan always plan to outgrow Harry? Online detectives zoomed in on Harry's recent appearances, calling him drained and hollow. Didn't matter if it was true. It looked true, and that's even worse. Meanwhile, Piers was thriving, tossing smug one-liners on air. You think that's the only recording? For Meghan, this wasn't gossip anymore. It was war against Piers, public perception, palace silence, Harry's exhaustion, and the terrifying idea that someone from her own circle had flipped. And just when it seemed like the chaos might calm down, it escalated. A tiny TikTok account posted a side-by-side audio comparison, the distorted voice versus an old interview clip. Same rhythm, same breath, same punch on the last word. The match was impossible to ignore. Within an hour, voice analysts jumped in. Within 2, Twitter had synced waveforms. By hour 3, the internet had a name. The moment the insider's name leaked, the internet erupted. This wasn't a random commentator. It was someone who knew Meghan long before the palace, someone who helped shape her early image and watched her climb step by step.
When their identity hit the timeline, it sent one message: the old guard was breaking ranks. For Meghan, it wasn't gossip anymore. It was betrayal. Her team instantly went into crisis mode. Lawyers, PR, and advisors scrambled through calls, emails, and contracts as Piers teased even more clips. Then he dropped the second recording, clear, sharp, and explosive. She always said the goal wasn't to join the royal family, it was to outgrow them. Within seconds, the internet lost its mind. Social feeds melted, theories exploded, and Meghan's camp went into full lockdown, trying desperately to contain something already far beyond their control. Meanwhile, the palace stayed silent, and that silence was louder than any statement. Reporters began digging, old names resurfaced, and even Meghan's ex-husband suddenly vanished offline, fueling new speculation. Piers kept feeding the storm, hinting that even bigger bombs were coming. By the next day, Meghan's home was swarming with lawyers and advisors trying to figure out how to fight a ghost from her past. And with one final smirk, Piers made it clear this story wasn't ending anytime soon.